At the 81st session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the Iranian president took the stage before a hall filled with heads of state, diplomats, and world leaders. His speech opened not with politics, but with faith. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, he declared, before addressing the Secretary General, the President of the Assembly, and distinguished representatives. He quickly turned to this year's central theme, Better Together, 80 years and more of peace, development, and human rights. To him, it was not simply a motto, but a moral summons, a call to solidarity and to building a shared vision of a more just future. The Iranian leader reminded the Assembly that the foundation of religious teachings and human conscience alike is the principle of equality. What makes a person worthy, he argued, is not wealth or power, but piety, truthfulness, wisdom, purity, and benevolence. Across cultures and faiths, the same moral law has been repeated through the ages. Do not impose on others what you would not accept for yourself. Quoting directly, he reminded delegates of Jesus Christ's teaching, act towards others as you would have them act towards you. He pointed to the Prophet of Islam, saying, none of you is a true believer unless he desires for others what he desires for himself. From Jewish tradition, he invoked the sage Hillel, the elder. That which is hateful unto thee, do not do unto thy fellow. He stressed that even secular schools of ethics, rooted in reason and conscience, have reached the same conclusion. Then he asked a piercing question. Is this the state of our world today? He turned to the suffering of the past 2 years. The Assembly, he said, had watched genocide in Gaza, destruction in Lebanon, devastation in Syria, and starvation in Yemen. It had seen the assassination of Iranian scientists and raids that violated the sovereignty of independent nations. Leaders, homes, and infrastructure were targeted openly, always under the cover of self-defense, he said, and always with the support of the world's most heavily armed powers. The president looked directly at the hall of leaders and challenged them. Would you countenance such things for yourselves? Who is the disturber of the stability of the region and the world? Who is the actual threat against international peace and security? Who is the violator of the golden moral maxim of mankind? He then turned to events closer to home. This past June, he said, Iran itself was attacked in direct violation of international law. The combined aerial strikes of the United States and Israel, he charged, targeted Iranian cities, homes, and infrastructure precisely while Iran was pursuing diplomacy. With deliberate emphasis, he declared, my country was subjected to a savage aggression in flagrant contravention of the most elementary principles of international law. He accused Washington and Tel Aviv of betraying diplomacy itself. The aerial assaults of the Zionist regime and the United States of America against Iran's cities, homes, and infrastructures precisely at a time when we were treading the path of diplomatic negotiations constituted a grave betrayal of diplomacy and a subversion of efforts towards the establishment of stability and peace. The cost of these attacks, he said, was not only material, but human. This brazen act of aggression, in addition to martyring a number of commanders, citizens, children, women, scientists, and intellectual elites of my country, inflicted a grievous blow upon international trust and the very prospect of peace in the region. He warned that failure to confront such actions would only embolden lawlessness. He listed the precedents already set: the assault on nuclear facilities under international safeguards, assassination attempts against heads of state, and the systematic targeting of journalists and intellectuals. And again, he challenged the Assembly, would you countenance such acts for yourselves? The president's voice turned toward Gaza, where the devastation, he said, could no longer be denied. With this behavior, they have killed at the very least over 35,000 innocent civilians in Gaza. They have deprived them of food, drinking water, medication, and proper health care. But he made clear that such crimes would not break Iran. Instead, they had only reinforced the resilience of the Iranian people. Drawing from history, he said, Iran, one of the world's oldest continuous civilizations, has endured centuries of storms and invasions without bowing to aggressors. This nation, with a magnanimous spirit and an eternal will, has time and again demonstrated that it shall never bow before aggressors. He described what he called Iran's 12-day defense, during which Iranian citizens stood shoulder to shoulder with their armed forces. According to him, the fight revealed the hollowness of enemy calculations. In this 12-day defense, the patriotic and valiant people of Iran laid bare before the aggressors the fallacy and self-delusion of their arrogant calculations. The attacks, he claimed, had only strengthened the unity of the Iranian nation. The enemies of Iran unwittingly fortified the sacred national unity. The people of Iran, despite the most severe, protracted and crushing economic sanctions, psychological and media warfare, and persistent efforts to sow discord at the very instant the first bullet was fired upon their soil, rose in unison in support of their valiant armed forces. He then shifted to gratitude. Here, in the name of all Iranian people, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all personalities, nations, governments, and international and regional organizations that stood in solidarity with Iran during this war. The president widened his remarks again to Israel, describing years of oppression and occupation. He accused Israel of genocide, mass starvation, and apartheid in the occupied territories, extending aggression not only to Palestinians but also to neighboring states. In his words, this was not just a local tragedy, but a test of global conscience. While condemning Israel, he also portrayed Iran as standing firmly on the side of history and justice. Despite sanctions, economic hardship and political isolation, Iran, he insisted, would continue to resist. He cast the struggle not only as Iran's, but as universal. Every breach of law and morality, if left unchallenged, endangers the entire world order. As he warned the Assembly, should we fail to confront such perilous breaches of international norms, these aberrations shall spread to engulf the world. His speech wove together three themes: moral conscience, national resilience, and international law. It was a reminder of Iran's deep historical identity, but also a direct indictment of the United States and Israel. The Iranian leader portrayed his country as both victim and survivor, standing firm in the face of relentless pressure. He closed with defiance, but also with a call to conscience, urging nations to uphold the very principles the United Nations was founded upon. His tone in conclusion was resolute. Iran, he declared, would neither bow to aggressors nor abandon its principles. It would stand, as it had throughout history, rooted in faith, unity, and resistance.